Hello, hello. I'm Veronica Sopher. Welcome to Saturday Soundbites. I'm so excited to have everybody here today. I have an amazing guest. You guys, when we log on for Saturday Soundbites, we are going to learn. We're going to get content that's really going to drive our business. We're going to talk about visibility strategy, public relations, advertising, marketing, branding, digital communication, all the things you need to know to grow your business. That's what we're about here at Saturday Soundbites. Now, if you're listening on our podcast, make sure that you hit the subscribe button because we want to make sure that you don't miss any episodes as they are made available to you. And if you're watching on Facebook, make sure you join us in the comments, say hello, let us know where you're listening from. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments because our guests always love to see the engagement. And today we've got a phenomenal show for you guys. I am so excited. I have a professional that is going to just knock your socks off. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her to the stage, Miss Andrea Gribble, and she is going to share all of her knowledge and we are going to talk shop. Hello, hello.
Hey, Veronica. Great to be here today.
So excited to have you. This is fantastic. So tell us a little about who you are, what you do, and let's give some people some fantastic knowledge.
Yes, well, I'm Andrea Gribble, and I am out of Wisconsin. You'll probably pick that up with my accent pretty quickly. I run a company called Social School for EDU. We actually provide training for K-12 social media managers. So for school social media managers, we provide amazing training through a membership program, a boot camp program, and we actually started doing full management for schools, and we do that for almost 100 schools. So I love what I do, but I never, ever, Veronica, would have guessed that I would be doing this today because I didn't even know that school PR, school communications was a thing. Do you want me to just go right into my
I was going to say, tell us about it. I mean, clearly you're an entrepreneur, but how'd you get there? How'd you get there, sister?
Accidental entrepreneur. So I went to school for chemistry and business and got a job in corporate America. Worked there, thought I was just going to work my way up. And I was 35 and I walked into work one day and I found out my job had been eliminated. At the time, I was a single mom with 2 little girls, had a house payment and a car payment and all those things to do. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I live in a really super tiny town. I started looking for jobs right away. But another fellow woman entrepreneur, Jane Fetting, she really encouraged me and said, you know what, Andrea, with your experience, and then, I kind of liked social media. I never got any training in it, but she's like, small businesses really could use some help doing social media. Like they don't have time. They're running their business. You could do their social media. So that's how I started. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and that for small businesses, but they were all different, Veronica. I was like a caterer, a photographer,
right.
An accountant, and they're all different niches. And so it's like, it's hard to learn what works and what doesn't. And I got started though, right? I got started, and that's what it takes when you're going to start a business. It's motion, it's action. You gotta just get into motion. And then the superintendent at my small little school in Wisconsin, I went to church with him, and he was actually my mom's boss. So he really just had it in his heart, like, we need to help Andrea out. Let's give her something to do. Maybe she could do Facebook and Twitter and YouTube for the school. And I thought it was awesome because I'm like, it's not really like marketing. You're just celebrating what's happening at the school. And Veronica, this is a small school. 300 students, K-12.
Oh, goodness.
And that's where I graduated from, right? I graduated with 32 kids in my class, and that was a big class for New Auburn. My girls still go to school there. I still live in the community. I loved it. And, I could go on and on about kind of the journey, but basically I found out other schools needed help. I grabbed my second school and my third school, and now I lead a team of over 30, mainly women. I do have one gentleman on my team. But definitely women-owned, run business that serves schools. And we love what we get to do.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. And I love that you realized there was a story to be told in every niche, in every space, in every industry, even in small rural Wisconsin, right? Like everyone's got a story. So tell me a little bit about that purpose, or what about content marketing and social media really helps that story component. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, schools are really they're competitive, right? They don't traditionally, they're not very good about tooting their own horn. Teachers are very humble, and a lot of them just get in there and do the work. And have they had to do the work over this last year. But with open enrollment, school choice, some of those things, even public schools are having to get their story out there. And a lot of small communities, they don't even have a local newspaper, like New Auburn doesn't. So how are they getting their news? Websites are great, but people aren't going there all the time. You've got to meet them where they're at. And so I knew, because I went to New Auburn and I feel like I had an advantage going to a small school. I knew there were great opportunities, but we had communities 7 miles one way, 8 miles the other that people could choose to go to. It's like, we need to tell about this great tech ed program. We need to talk about the way that we pay for college classes. I now got a sophomore that's taking sociology and psychology that she's not going to have to pay for in college because she's getting to take it in high school. But we've got to get those stories out. So we basically built a system to make it very easy for schools to get their stories out consistently in a great way. And connect those to parents, because me as a parent, I've got 6 kids now, Veronica, and now they're older, blended family. I got 4 stepsons. They don't tell me what's going on at school.
Right.
But if I can see what's going on and it's like, hey, that was a really cool science experiment that you did. Can you tell me about that? It starts the conversation. So I think kids are amazing. I think educators are amazing. And if you can't tell, I get a little excited. I am a natural born cheerleader. I like to get those stories out there. And so that's what I've done through my business. And then everything I've learned, Veronica, I share it.
Yeah.
I share it with people across the country, school communicators like you are, that to make it easier, like what works, what doesn't. Here's some tips and tricks, and social media is always changing. And so I just have a big mouth, and I love to get those stories out there. Hey, Justin.
There's some of our friends. Yeah, I know we've got some folks.
Congratulations, Justin, on your new role. I'm so excited for you. It's just awesome to see people grow and in this profession. It's amazing.
Yeah. It absolutely is. I would say too, the thing that some folks struggle with when they aren't natural cheerleaders and they maybe don't come from a media background, when they do come into those roles, they don't know what tools are available to share content. I mean, the reality is, when I got into communications, we were still faxing press releases on a fax machine. Some of our peers don't even know what a fax machine is.
I still laugh that some people ask for fax numbers. I'm like, really? Do people have fax? Like, can't I just email you a PDF? But anyways.
Yeah, I know it is. So what would you say are some of the trends that you're seeing with the organizations that you're working with when it comes to not being able to relate to content? You've talked about, Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and some of the obvious ones, but where do you see the holes being that communicators need to come in and support?
Well, with school communication, it's such a big job that sometimes social media can be almost an afterthought, and that's a mistake. Like, we've got to be able to leverage those stories, but sometimes it's finding the stories. That's what it's like. Hey, no, but I don't know what's going on. So I think the biggest thing is just getting a system to get those stories to you as the school communicator, so you can share those. Obviously, leveraging a district hashtag so that people can share out on their own Twitter channels and Instagram. We definitely see that Facebook is the primary channel. A lot of our school communicators are a little bit scared of that right now because of all the opinions that everybody wants to share. In a pandemic, obviously in the election year, it's really been tough. But I know and I see that people need the positivity from our schools. So it's just getting, kind of the right approach. And I really believe that you've got to have a good system to be able to consistently get those stories out there. And I think once you have that system, it's a lot easier to gain the momentum, build the following, build that engagement. But you do have to have a focused effort on it. It can't just be an afterthought. And Veronica, it can't just be spitting out information.
Right.
Some people are using it as like a bulletin board, and it's not. It's a spot to celebrate. It's a spot to engage. Social media is social, so you want back and forth actually. And sometimes when people ask a question, it's not necessarily bad.
Right.
So anyways, I guess those are some of the things that I see, but the hard part is social media is always changing.
Right.
So I just want to share this with everybody who just got an email. I got to put this post out. So Facebook analytics is going away, and we're getting emails, and all these people are freaking out. You guys, Facebook analytics, it's an app. It's a separate app that Facebook set up that they're taking away. Your Facebook insights, they're not going away. Okay, you're still going to be able to look at insights within Business Suite and your ads platform and all of that. But Facebook Analytics was just a standalone app that's going away that I never even really knew about. They started in 2018. So just, hey, we always learn something, you said, Veronica.
Yep.
Today, that's your takeaway. You guys, don't stress. You are not going to lose all of the analytics that you need to look at how you're doing. You're not going to lose that.
Yeah. Oh, good tip. Good to know, because people do freak out, and it's real challenging if you're not, say you're an online business owner and you've got a team that works across the country. You're probably not the person managing the social media. So when you hear things like that, you get really freaked out. And I think it's very cool that you have a team, that a lot of us work with virtual teams. Tell us about how you jumped into this entrepreneurship life of digital business and how you comprised your team and some of the programs that you have.
Yeah. So, well, I believe in one of my secrets is that I have the most incredible team. So surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you, that have different talents than you is so, so key. But I knew early on from listening to podcasts that, hey, I've got to get out free information. So I'm big on content marketing, you guys. And one of my primary roles running this business is content creation. I've got people that manage my team. I've got people that manage new clients when we sign them on for full management. I've got a membership program that I'm going to talk to you about, and I've got somebody that helps run that so that I can be just focused on delivering as much value as possible. But it's really about just, sharing what you know, and then getting help to get those stories out there. So Veronica, I even have somebody that helps me with my social media. So I run a social media company, but I still have somebody that puts it all out there, because you guys, I have video tips that I put out every other week. I've got a blog that I put out every other week. I got a weekly podcast. I'm doing speaking. I'm doing webinars. I've got a ton of one-page PDFs, and you can check all of this out on my brand new website, socialschoolforedu.com. I do a newsletter every other week where I'm trying to share tips, but it's all around adding value for hopefully someday a potential customer. Many of the people that follow my stuff have never paid me one dime, and that's okay. I want to serve them too. But we obviously do have other programs because I got 6 kids, so we do have some bills to pay. So I got to make some money, and so then we've got programs that can really serve the schools where they're at, whether they're doing their own social media or whether they need us to do it for them. So
yeah, and I love that you touched on your membership program. Let's talk about that. So I have some colleagues who are not in the education space. One in particular who supports insurance agents across the country virtually. And so one of the things that we talked about was, she asked, how do I get more visibility? How do I really get other people to know I'm available and that I've got this service? And we started talking about our products. And I said, what about a membership program? And she said, I don't know anything about that. I don't even know how that works. And I said, well, I know a little bit about it, but not a whole lot. But now I've got Andrea here to drop some gems. So tell us about membership programs.
Yeah. So I knew that I needed to set up this community, because a lot of people are doing social media for their school, and they're the only one, right? And so we're all on these islands, and I've learned so much. I've been doing this now for 7 years, so I've learned so much. I used to do like a one-day training in the summer, a summer camp event, and then I'm like, how can I serve these people for one day and leave them alone for 364 days and not help answer their questions or encourage them or inspire them or train them? So I finally just did it. And so this is how my membership works. I have a Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group that they have to get approved to join, and they pay an annual membership based on their school to be a part of that group. I think one of the biggest things with a membership group and biggest mistakes people make is trying to throw too much in there and do too many things and have, oh my gosh, we got to have posts every day that challenge them to do things. No, you need like one good piece of content a week, and then let them, because they're busy, let them, either participate or maybe watch a recording. But what I do is every month I have a webinar, which is with a speaker from across the country. Just last week I had Thomas Murray speak. Next month will be Leslie Brewington, the NSPRA president. And so that's 1 week. Another week I just have an open, like an office hour type, like we call it the social buzz. So it's just like, hey, what's going on in your school? What do you need help with? What's working well? But it's just, I do it in Zoom, and we're just, everybody can speak. The third week I do a skills session. So this month it's how to Facebook ads. Mm-hmm. I'm not a pro at Facebook ads. Actually, our other members are the ones that are teaching some of those skills sessions.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And then the fourth week I just do a work session. So it's like, okay, guys, it's time to get her done. Let's do Throwback Thursdays. Our goal for this next hour, I'm just going to be quiet. I'll answer questions, but we're going to try to get 6 Throwback Thursdays scheduled, with old yearbook pictures. And we just sat and worked on those, and it was really powerful. We're also, we foster dialogue and answer questions, and I have a whole bunch of resources, but, they pay. I mean, we still send them an invoice. We don't have any automated payment set up, but because I serve schools and normally they have to get like POs approved and they mainly pay by check, it works just fine. Mm-hmm. And then I have a membership manager that manages that. And so you can sign up online, and then we email them back, and then we email them an invoice. They pay for a year at a time. And that's worked really well. We're over 200 members.
Awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah. And I just launched maybe 2 years ago. I think I've been doing it for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so what I'm hearing you say, for those of you not in different spaces, what I'm hearing you say is you just need to figure out where their pain point is, and then your membership program addresses the solution. And that's brilliant.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have came to me, like I wouldn't have been able to start there because I didn't know what I was doing, you guys. I wish when I started back in 2014 that I had a group like this that would say, this is exactly how you do it, and ask questions to people who have gone before. So that I wish I would have had that, but now I can create that. And it's a really safe space, Veronica, where it's like you can ask any question. It's really fun.
Yeah, no, I love that. And what would you say are some of the challenges for people who are not social media savvy? Like if you get a new person in your group and they're like, I know how to do Facebook because maybe I do it with my family or with my grandkids, but what's TikTok and do I need it? I don't understand. How do you inside your group support people that are at different levels? Because we've got some folks who are just like experts at it.
Right. Yeah. Everybody's at a different level. And that's why I can't like create one specific training, like an online course. That just wasn't for me because social media changes so often. Mm-hmm. So we record every training we do. So everything we've ever done, I've got hundreds of training sessions available inside that membership group that we can push them to. But we did just last year launch a social media boot camp program. So this is a separate 5-week intensive program. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Or is my audio?
Oh, I'm good. Good.
Okay. So it's a 5-week intensive program. The next session is going to be this summer in July. I know we're going to fill up because it's going to be a popular time. You can check it all out on my website. But that's what we really created, and that's taught by Stephanie Sins. She's actually does all the training for my team, and Veronica, she's a trained teacher, and so she is excellent at what she does, but she really breaks down the system and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and here's how you do it. And there's training But then there's, okay, what questions do you have? Interactive on Zoom. And then like, what are you doing? Like what steps? So it's an accountability program. So that's really what we built up. And that's actually for people just beginning, and people who have been at it for 8-10 years still really get a lot out of it. And so we just try to make that safe space. But you know, a lot of screen sharing and things like that, of it, showing them exactly what to do, but also just letting them know sometimes you got to YouTube it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just, I create a lot of YouTube videos. You should definitely check out my K-12 PR tip videos on my YouTube channel. But you can just YouTube anything and it'll help walk you through it, or get a reverse mentor, Veronica.
Oh.
So I've got kids that can show me how to use TikTok and, you know, Instagram stories or some of those things. And if you don't have kids of your own, think about the students at your school or a niece or nephew. They can teach you a lot about how you might be able to use it, you know, in your job, like if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're a school communicator too.
Yeah, no, I think that's so, so true. Now, before we wrap up, because we're getting close to time, I want you to talk a little bit about what it took for you to become an entrepreneur. You know, because so many people, either by choice or by circumstance, especially in COVID, were losing their positions just like you did, with budget cuts and everything happening. What does it take to be an entrepreneur and to get to this level? Because for those of you that don't know Andrea, she is nationally known. Her reach is national. Yes, it's a super niche down group, but she shows up, she brings value, and she's created something in a fairly short amount of time. So what does it take for someone to get there?
Well, Veronica, I had to sell my house and move in with my parents with 2 kids. It was not easy, and I almost gave up. I started looking for jobs after about 8 months into my job, into starting this business. It's like, I can't do this. I was laced with anxiety. I went on medication for it. I mean, it was awful. Not being able to even buy a bottle of water or a pack of gum, like it was serious. But I just felt like God had a plan for me. Like I wasn't meant to be in a cubicle, you know, working some quality control job. Like he had bigger things. And one thing I had was supportive family. And so my now husband, but we were dating at the time, and he's just like, Andrea, you can always go back and get a job, but you can't start what you've started again. Like I had just signed on my 3rd school, you know, all of these things. And so it's like, that was definitely it. And then I think, you know, I basically just gave myself, okay, I'm going to give it everything I got for these next 6 months. And then in those next 6 months, I signed on, you know, 8, 9, 10 more clients. I think the big thing for my big step to grow was niching down. Mm-hmm. So it might seem scary, but actually I know exactly who I'm talking to every time I write an email, that I write a blog, that I do a video. I know who I'm talking to, and I've really gotten to know those folks. So niching down is key. Surrounding yourself with people that can help you, you know, virtual assistants and those things. You've got to be able to delegate. If you don't delegate, you're not going to grow. You're not going to be able to scale. And then you've got to listen to what your customers need, and build that community, mm-hmm. so that they feel part of it. Because Veronica, that's what's so great about my membership group. I don't have to be the one answering every question. And sometimes they'll do this, Veronica, because we have this Facebook discussion. They'll email me and say, Andrea, this just happened at my school. Somebody was just arrested for an inappropriate, should I make a statement? I'm like, I want to help you, but ask in the group, because I'm only one person. You're going to get other people, other schools that have actually dealt with it. And so building and fostering that community is really key. And that's what we've tried to build. So those are a few things.
No, those are amazing things. And I love that you shared your journey, because that's what people are afraid of. People are afraid of, well, what happens if I lose my house? What happens if I can't pay the bills? And sometimes That does happen. Not always, but sometimes it does. And you are a prime example of how you just go for it. And that's what I love about your business, because your spark is just amazing. And I love watching you do your thing. I appreciate the content. It's great. And I think a lot of people get value, but mostly I appreciate your spirit. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing.
Thank you. And my other thing would be, don't ask for permission, right? Like, nobody's going to give you permission to do things. Like, get out there, add value, be authentic, and great things can happen. But you've got to be, if you have passion for what you do, obviously that's going to help. So thanks so much for having me. And definitely just check out my website, socialschoolforedu.com/resources, because that's where all, like, a bunch of my content marketing stuff lives there. And I've got a really big event, a 5-day challenge coming up, and I don't have the landing page done yet, but it's coming up the last week of April. And so again, I'm just jumping in and figuring it out.
Yeah.
But anyways, if you get on my newsletter, which you can do on my website, you won't miss a chance to be part of that. So
that's fantastic. And if you guys are not on her newsletter, make sure you join it. I love it. I love the content that she shares. And if even if you're not in the school business, this is a fantastic blueprint for any model: healthcare, insurance, business, oil and gas, you name it. If you need to niche down into a group, this is how you do it. So reach out to Andrea for support. Thank you so much, Andrea. We appreciate you.
yes, thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks. All right, folks, that wraps up another episode of Saturday Soundbites. I hope you found great value. Andrea is fantastic. Make sure you check out her website and her resources. You guys, this is a blueprint. This is literally a play-by-play book of how to be successful in reaching your target audience with social media. So make sure you get that information. So we are going to wrap up this episode. Again, if you are listening on the podcast, make sure that you hit subscribe so that you get all of our content. And if you're watching on social media and you catch this on the replay, #replay, so Andrea and I can come back and answer any questions you might have or just engage with you. So we're wrapping up. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Veronica Sopher with Saturday Soundbites, and I'm wishing you lots of light and joy today. Thank you so much.